So this musing is all about the flip side of self-care. I teach that self-care needs to be a conscious and intentional act towards taking care of your own needs, taking care of your personal self. These are actions that will soothe your mind, your body, your emotions. It's to help whatever part of you is just off and needs a little boost in the moment. I've encouraged people to schedule self-care so that it's on a routine basis, so that you just get into that pattern of filling your own cup. It puts yourself higher on the priority list of life, and it builds your self-worth. So I tell people, schedule it, make sure that it's happening, and everybody else can just bugger off, because you are worth it, and you are just a beautiful human being that deserves and needs to take care of your own self, your own being. A friend of mine recently shared this Facebook post with me, and in this Facebook post, this woman was really unhappy with the commercialization of self-care. It really bothered her that we talk about self-care and encourage people to do it, and she felt like our society is kind of sick that we need to do that, because she felt we should just be dealing with those hard relationships and conversations. We should be cutting out those toxic people in our lives. We should be changing our job to find something that feeds us more and makes us happier instead of drains us and leaves us exhausted and miserable. That we should stop overextending ourselves and have more realistic expectations of our own abilities in life. And I was so grateful that she shared this, because I had at the time been working on our Self-Care Sundays on Instagram, all of our posts there, and I had really felt like we needed to add some of that ugly side of self-care in there. I love her sentiments. My goal is to have people start valuing themselves, putting themselves higher on that list, finding their own self-worth, and scheduling it so that over time, instead of a splurge, it becomes a habit. It just is a natural daily part of our lives. It's this, by taking care of ourselves and recognizing that we have issues, we become aware of that and we strive to fix them. And over time, it shortens between what we needed self-care for and the self-care that we do to help ourselves through it. I'm going to explain just a little bit with a story from my kids. When my kids were teenagers, they were learning how to deal with their emotions, learning how to express their emotions. They're physical kids going through puberty, and they would experience a frustrating whatever, and they would come home and they'd be really angry, and they might throw things, and words were yelled, and tears were shed, and it was this very traumatic, upsetting, frustrating thing. And I didn't at first know how to deal with that, and I spoke with my counselor, and my counselor said, Krystal, you have to recognize that it's actually a gift that your kids are feeling safe enough to just burst out and express while they're at home. And I thought, you are nuts. You are crazy. This is not cool. You are telling me that it's a good thing my kids are yelling at me and they're really, really upset and frustrated. So at first I wanted to kick that away. And then I listened to it and I thought, okay, if he's right and they are feeling safe at home and they can express, then what I need to know is that they are not angry at me. They are angry at a situation that they have endured. They are angry at something else that they've experienced and has really upset them. So I would stay calm. I would let them yell. I would let them throw. I would let them have their outburst, their little temper tantrum as this teenager. And afterwards, we would talk. Once they were completely released from the anger and the emotion that was so prevalent in them, we could sit down and talk about what was really going on. And in the beginning, it was a long time between when they first got home and were frustrated to let's talk about this and help through it. And over time, because I would just sit back and say, okay, let's get it out. What do you need to say? And how do you need to express yourself? And what do we need to do to help you through that? It got shorter and shorter and shorter, to the point where instead of having an outburst, it was they would come home and they'd say, Mom, I'm really frustrated. Can we talk? And then we would talk through what could they do to make the situation better. This was how they learned self-care. This was how they learned how to express their emotions and what they needed. And they did it over time, learning and seeing. Self-care is very much like this. So we do self-care. We have to, in the beginning, we schedule it because we just don't really know we don't know what's causing the irritation. We just know that we're exhausted. We just know that we're tired. We just know that we're drained. We just know that we're angry and frustrated. Whatever it is, we just know that we are lacking in some way, shape, or form. So we find ways to take care of ourselves. We find ways to fill our cup. And over time, we start to recognize what it is that caused that irritation, what it is that upset us, what it is that needs a little bit of attention so that we can shift that. And in understanding what it is that caused that, shining that light into the corner, now you have the ability to remove that irritant. Is it because you put yourself in a bad space financially and now you have to figure out how to get out of it? Is it that your work environment has some toxicity in it and you need to figure out how to deal with that? Is it another relationship? Is it the food that you're eating that's causing intestinal discomfort? What is it that is causing you to need that extra self-care? And once you do that, once you see it, acknowledge it, and work through it, you need less and less scheduled self-care. It's just happening. It's easier, and life flows because you've removed so many of those major irritants by being more focused on your value, your worth, your humanity. We like to gravitate towards the things that make us feel good. We like to enjoy the walks outside and the connection with nature, or the gardening, or the pedicures, or reading a book, or whatever it is that positive, uplifting part of self-care. What we often fail to see is the fact that doing the difficult part of it actually makes us feel better on the other side. Giving ourselves a budget to correct the financial whoopsie that we put ourselves in means that we can get out of that, and then we feel better because we rectified that situation. We actually get to heal a little bit and feel freer because we acknowledge that that's what it is, and now we have steps to take forward to fix it, to feel better. Having that conversation, whether it be a conversation to heal a relationship with a friend or a family member or a coworker, or conversation with yourself about your relationship with food and whatnot, figuring out, talking it out, working it out. Beforehand, you just have this weight that's on your shoulders. And afterwards, because you've had that conversation, you feel lighter. In and of itself, it is a deeper form of self-care. Instead of escaping from life, now you're digging in and healing and correcting the hurt and the wounds and the upset so that you can just feel relief. So, back to her comments about self-care needs to be less commercialized, I absolutely agree. Self-care is very personal. It's all about self-ownership. It's all about self-worth. It's all about you deciding that you are absolutely worth it. Do you want to stay in that relationship, or do you deserve something even better? And I'm not saying relationship as in human relationship. I'm saying relationship in every different type of relationship that there is. There's your relationship to food, your relationship to people, your relationship to your body, your relationship to money, your relationship to spirituality. Whatever relationship that you are in, that you are experiencing and is causing you stress and overwhelm, doing self-care to combat that, at what point do you decide that there's something that needs to happen and a conversation you need to have with yourself or the other party to make things better? I hope that you start to see those things. I hope that you do value yourself enough to schedule the self-care to the point where eventually it just happens. See those habits that cause damage. Seek ways to change them and improve them and make things better. And in so doing, you're just getting yourself even closer to a happy, joyful, fabulous life well lived. Until next time.